Welcome to Influential Entrepreneurs, bringing you interviews with elite business leaders and experts, sharing tips and strategies for elevating your business to the next level. Here's your host, Mike Saunders.
Hello and welcome to this episode of Influential Entrepreneurs. This is Mike Saunders, the Authority Positioning Coach. Today we have with us Dr. Keith Johnson, who is an internationally acclaimed confidence coach, speaker, and success strategist. Keith, welcome to the program.
Hey, thank you, Mike. Appreciate you having me on today.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to talking with you because I know you have got quite the storied and long history and bio, and we won't go into all the weeds of what you've done since, day one, but give us a quick thumbnail sketch of your entrepreneurial journey, because I really feel like in that brief explanation, there's some really big nuggets of opportunity that crop up, like, hey, you know what, there's a point in my life where, and then that caused me to pivot, and I think those are just so telling. So bring us up to speed on your entrepreneurial journey.
Well, thank you. Well, 100%. My journey to becoming known as America's #1 confidence coach and building a whole brand internationally and writing a best-selling book on it started off with me having no confidence.
Yeah, of course. Fake it till you make it, huh?
Well, I don't even know if I was doing good at faking it till I made it, but I ended up basically, being $180,000 in credit card debt, had no money in the bank, owed more money on my car than what it was worth. I had to sell everything and move into my mother-in-law's 12 by 12 bedroom. I call it hell on earth. Nothing's worse than living with a mother-in-law that doesn't like you. I was at the bottom of the barrel. And we're really looking for some answers, man. I mean, I felt like I was supposed to make a huge difference in the world. I knew that I wanted to be like a speaker, an author, a motivational speaker to help, people all across the boards. But things just wasn't working out for me. And it was in that moment that in total brokenness, tears coming down my face, not coming out of my nose. To be honest with you, Mike, I just kind of looked up in the air and said, God, what's stopping me?
Yeah, where's
and
the
Mike,
blockage?
I heard this voice just say, Keith, you lack confidence.
Huh.
And I'm like, wow. And to be honest with you, Mike, I thought I was a pretty confident guy. But I started to discover that, hey, if this is the thing that's stopping me, then I'm going to do whatever I can do to build this thing to an all-time high. And I went on a journey of studying that subject, and I started to realize really quick that no matter what field you talk about, I don't care if you talk about sports, talk about financial investment, talk about building a business, being #1 in the world at whatever you want to be, BIW, best in the world, that those who rise to the top simply have this one quality called confidence. And you even look at the animal kingdom. Why is the lion considered the king of the jungle? It's because he's the most confident. He knows what he wants.
Yeah.
And he knows he deserves whatever is in the jungle, and he goes after it confidently, and he's the most confident. He's not the biggest. He's not the prettiest. He's not the smartest. He's not even the fastest. But simply because he has this one trait called confidence, he's the king. And so if you want to be the king of your field, you want to dominate, not get dominated, you got to work as a leader, as a person, at building your confidence. Because even your income will rise and fall to your level of confidence.
Yeah, I love that. And it makes me think of kind of like momentum and priming the pump. And back when you said you had no confidence. So at some point, you had to have that little baby step, little pebble in the ocean of, well, I'm going to do this one thing. And well, that didn't, work out too awfully bad. And that's going to be the glimmer and spark of building that confidence. And then it reinforces that. And then you do it again or do something else new. And then it gets more and more and you start seeing things. And I feel like it's like the old thing of like, you work off a to-do list. Do you ever find yourself adding things to your list just so you can cross them off and get that little endorphin rush? And yeah, I do, because I see that momentum. So talk just a little bit before we jump into your new work and your book and all of your new focus. What is your advice on someone that says, okay, I've got like the glimmer of hope of confidence. I know I got a long way to go. How do you do these little baby steps that have like many successes so that you build that momentum?
A great question, Mike. Well, the first thing I started to realize is that confidence empowers you, right, to take massive action in your life.
Yeah.
And the bottom line is he who takes the most action gets the most opportunities. Those people do more, they have more, they achieve more. So this is why that subject is so very important that, yeah, you're right. You start taking massive action, you start getting some wins under your belt, you get momentum, and you start looking better than what you really are. Right? But when you don't have momentum, boy, I'm telling you, and confidence leaves your life, now you end up having what I say is FUD, F-U-D, fear, uncertainty, and doubt. You start living with that. Now you stop taking action, lose your momentum, and now you start looking worse than what you really are. And so the key to getting it back is putting predictability back in your life. And I think right now in this season that we're in is there's so much unpredictability. That's why we have so many people struggling with, fears, uncertainty. They're doubtful. What's coming next? The world's in chaos. It's crazy. And the best thing that you do is ask yourself this question: What's out of order in my life? What has become unpredictable? Where am I lacking control? And how do I get it back? And as soon as you find out and answer those questions, you'll find that confidence will surge back inside of you again. You say, okay, all right, I'm going to put predictability back in my life.
Yeah. And I love that because it really is, it's not just, I'm going to do this so that I can get these tangible worldly goods. And it really just is something that we need to go, what's the end game? Begin with the end in mind, as Stephen Covey used to teach. So what is that end in mind?
Yeah.
So that when I become confident, I then can do this and kind of looking over the fence and going, what's that? How can I give and serve and bring more and more value? So that kind of leads into your new work, your new focus. You got confidence tamped down and built in really well. And so now talk a little bit about what's going on these days with you.
Well, I built this brand over the last 20 years since 2002 when everything fell apart. And now in my new season, I'm really working on the financial piece, helping people now build financial confidence. A lot of gurus out there who talk about money, they talk about financial freedom. And I think that's the fruit, but not the root.
Yeah.
To get to financial freedom, you first need financial confidence. And financial confidence is simply believing that no matter what circumstances life hands you, no matter what you're facing, that you can produce, that you can take money, you can earn it, you can multiply it, and you can distribute it wisely. And financial freedom can be elusive. I've seen it. I have many friends that I've coached that I've seen them in one season of their life. They had all kinds of financial freedom. Then one divorce, something tragic happens to their life. Some major changes happen. And when they once had financial freedom, all of a sudden now they don't. But their financial confidence kicked back in.
Yeah.
It's like my friend that went through a divorce. He sold over 1 million copies of his book, was a multimillionaire, but his wife took it all. And he came to me and said, Keith, he says, I don't have no money in the bank. I don't have no furniture in my house. He says, but you know what? He says, I've got this new program I'm building, and I'm going to sell 1 million copies of this program, and I can get it all back. That is financial confidence. And that's the foundation to building, a successful life.
Yeah, that's really huge because, like you said, there's some, there's the hills and the valleys. I think the Torrin Wells has a song out, called, Hills and Valleys, and it's so encouraging because it's like, hey, you might be on a hill, but watch out because here comes the valley. Yeah. And you might be in a valley, but look up, because here comes the hill. And, where does my help come from? My help comes from the Lord. And I think that you need to be always watching that. Now, not fearing and going, oh, here comes the badness. What is it today, tomorrow, the next day? No, but you just have to keep things in perspective. And like in your example there, that one friend of yours had an event happen. Well, it could be, the financial meltdown, like as an example in my personal life, I was riding high back doing mortgage banking back, for 15 years. And then 2007, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 happened. And, that wasn't my fault.
Yeah.
That wasn't but you deal with it. You get punched in the gut, and then you rise from the ashes like the phoenix. And you got to go, you know what? Here's the successes that I've had in this, time. How can I parlay that into this? And like your friend that said, oh, I did this before, now I'll just do it again. He had has the success template. And you hear stories of the people that go, oh man, getting to the first million was the hard part, but going from 1 to 10, that's easy, because all I'm doing is just amplifying what I know is working.
Excellent. Yes, I totally agree with that. I've seen it many times. So for this new book I have, Financial Fast Track, How to Experience Abundance, Accelerate Results, and Eliminate Bad Debt. When I was in my mother-in-law's house, these are the things that I started to learn, Mike. And fortunately, God brought to me a multimillionaire mentor who began to start to teach me how to think right about money. And one of the first things he started to teach me is, stop focusing on your debt. What you focus on increases, the law of concentration.
Yeah.
And he said, you're focusing on the wrong thing. You need to focus on how to generate more streams of income to swallow up all that debt. And you need to realize that debt's not your problem. You just need to learn how to make money faster. That's your problem.
And keep more of it, I'll bet.
Okay. Right. Make more of it, make it faster in a shorter amount of time. And that's your key to getting out of your mother-in-law's house.
Right. Then we'll talk about the next step.
Yeah. I'm like, I want it fast. And so this book is really kind of a a slap in the face to the whole concept of, let's wait for 40 years to build wealth, and we can get, I call it wealth in a wheelchair. We can get wealth when we're 70, and slow and steady is the key to building wealth. And that's archaic, really. That's from the farmer generation, and a farming age concepts, when now we're in the digital age, man, where everything's moving fast, everything's moving quick. More billionaires were created in these last 2 years than ever in the history of the world. Money is moving, and what we got to do is have fresh new strategies on how to get it moving to us faster.
Okay, so does get it moving to us faster equal get rich quick? And then in parentheses, scheme, right? Because I think people hear that and they're like, oh, get rich quick. Forget that. Mom and dad told me about don't follow the get rich quick. You're just going to go up like a puff of smoke. Right. And then balanced with that is what I hear or comes to my mind is shiny object syndrome. Yeah, digital, that's where we're at. And you get so many of these opportunities that, oh, this one looks good. Oh, that person said this worked for them, and I'm going to do this and try that. And they try for 4 seconds and go, it didn't make me a gazillionaire. I guess it didn't work. Well, you ought to give it more than 4 seconds. You ought to dive in and focus and give it 4 weeks, 4 months, 4 years. So talk a little bit about the get rich quick and giving it time to develop and focus and pour your energy into something.
Great statement, Mark. You're really a sharp guy. It's absolutely right. The get rich quick scheme and the whole get rich quick concept being a negative came from the farming age. when it was impossible for a farmer. Most of the people were farmers, right? You're either farmer, blacksmith, or whatever. But the farmer, he could only sow his seed, and he had to wait a certain amount of time and get a harvest in 1 year. So the thoughts of being able to make money, generate money, multiply money, do it fast was like, to them, is like ridiculous. This cannot be done. And so that age is what created the get rich quick terminology scheme, which ended up being, it was a meme, as a belief system that followed people's minds for, up and even till today. So we hear get rich quick, people say, oh, I have a negative connotate for that. But really, truthfully is that get rich quick is the only way to do it. But you do have to watch out for schemes, because there are schemes. So you have to separate in your mind, right? There are schemes, but we're in a day and a time where we can get rich quick. So we've got to get rid of the belief system that's rooted there. Get rich quick is bad. No, get rich quick schemes are bad. So you better do your research before you see a shining object. Do your due diligence and search things out, but be thinking and have a mindset that says, how can I make money faster and quicker, and how can I make more of it in a shorter amount of time? That's where we need to be thinking, not thinking, how can I get rich when I'm 70? We need to be thinking, I'm way behind financially, and you are. For those who are listening today, if you're not making at least $300,000 a year, you're not even on the starting line. If you're over 40 and you don't have $1 million in the bank, you're way behind. And nobody wants to quantify these numbers. Everybody wants to just kind of let everybody think they're okay, living in middle class, but they're not, brother. If you're making under $100,000, you are the new poor. The bar has changed, and many people have not caught up with this fact. So there's no sense of urgency, Mike. There's no it's like this, the middle class is hum. And now, because of inflation, people are like, oh my gosh, man, I can't afford it. Yeah. Well, you need to wake up, and you need to realize you need to set some new targets. A new target isn't just to make $100,000 a year anymore. You're still struggling at $100,000 a year.
Yeah.
You need to start setting some goals that are more 300 and above if you're really going to thrive, and if you want to retire with any kind of, a life that you can enjoy.
Well, and the other
That's
thing,
what Financial Fast Track is all about, brother.
Yeah, and you can have. I know that this is the cliche, example of the bucket and the holes, but you can have the whole 300,000 plus coming in per year, or you can have the fast income coming into that bucket, flowing in, water flowing into it. But if you have too many holes, it's going to flow right back out. And there's no way to plug them all up. You got to pay your taxes. You got to live and eat and all of those things. But there should be also the balancing thought, and we don't need to dive into the weeds and go in length about this, but I know you will be nodding your head going, yes. It's all about cash flow. It's all about keeping the most amount of money you can that has coming in. And you said the word bad debt. Well, sometimes there's good debt and there's bad debt. Well, when I got married, I had $35,000 on credit cards equals bad debt, not good.
Debt.
So keep your money flowing, going where it needs to go. Don't have bad debt. So I think that's a huge important piece to keep in mind.
Yeah, if you really study all. We have people still studying millionaires, which here's another statement. Millionaire is kind of now the new middle class, right? Because if you talk to most people who have just $1 million, it's like,
they don't feel rich.
I don't feel like I'm rich.
Yep.
No. So we are not studying millionaires now. That's a mistake. Well, I did this study on 1,000 millionaires. Well, I'm glad. Well, that's not who I want to learn from now. I want to go to the next level. I'm shooting for 100 million, right? I'm looking at billionaires now. I need to know how they think, because at every new level, you got to have a mind reset. And I'm like, okay, what are billionaires saying? And you know what billionaires are saying? Number one thing of a billionaire, they're investing. They're investors. So they're thinking, I don't want to use my own money. I want to use other money. I want to keep my money, and I want to use as much as the governments as I can, and as much as the banks as I can. And it's like one billionaire told me, he said, Keith, he said, when I owed $5 million to the bank, I couldn't sleep very well at night. He said, but when I owed $50 million to the bank, he said both I and the bank could sleep well at night.
Wow, that's a transformation, huh?
So, my friend, you drive down the most popular block, and you look at the businesses that are on the side of the road. That's all you got to do. Because I know, we have some Christian circles that say debt is the worst thing in the world. But just drive down the most popular street where you have the Chick-fil-A's, which we all love. Oh, I give a plug for my Chick-fil-A's. You pass Lowe's, Home Depot, you pass McDonald's, you pass all these places that are owned, all the most popular places, the Starbucks, whatever. They're all owned by multimillionaires. And guess what? Every single one of those businesses have leveraged money, have borrowed money to get to where they are so they can create more cash flow. And that's what we're talking about. This is the shift we got to make. We got to say, no, there's, like you said, there's good debt, there's bad debt. Good debt is what we want to leverage to get us out of the bad debt we could be in. And we need to leverage our ability to get assets to create that cash flow to destroy our debt. That's how I did at my mother-in-law's house. Even though I was $180,000 in debt, which that was 20 years ago, that would have been like $500,000 today, right?
Yeah, I don't even know how you got extended that much credit in the first place.
I had 39 credit cards.
Wow.
So that's how we did it. We went into even more debt. My multimillionaire friend taught me how to do that. He said, no, Keith, what you need to do is you need to go into more debt. I thought, what? Are you crazy? But he was right. We went into more debt. We bought a home, $350,000, and we flipped it. We made some money, and bam, we started using somebody else's money to bring cash flow into our life. And that was one of the main things we did. So, hey, listen, I know we got to go, but if people would like to hear some of this stuff, I know that some people may be raising their eyebrows, but hey, we don't need just another book on the millionaire next door. We've read that long enough. So I got this fresh book, all based on, by the way, Mike, I started studying really heavy on the Jewish philosophy, Hebrew theology, why are 5 of the top 10 Forbes richest people in the world all Jews? And they're only like 2% of our population, 2.5. And so everything that I wrote in here is based on, basically all the principles that came from King Solomon, which was the first trillionaire ever in the history of the world, 4th or 5th, some may argue, richest man in the world. I'm like, let's learn from him, right? Let's learn from a trillionaire. And so I wrote this book based on some of those principles, and they're all centered around what I learned in my mother-in-law's house. It's like 7 things that I learned that turned my life around and turned things around fast. And I'm anybody who has me on for podcasts and interviews for the book, I'm giving away the book for free. I'm sewing it for my wife and I to help other people now. Now, all we do is ask for shipping and handling. So if they'd like to get the book, all they have to do is go to financialfasttrack.com and pick up the book. So it's on us. We'll bless you with it. And I want to just thank you for having me on today.
Well, thank you, Keith. And I know that will be a wonderful book. I've loved your approach to mindset shifts, confidence, and leading to wealth. And then maybe we'll talk again at a future time to say, okay, now what can you do with this wealth to handle it in the best possible way? Because you can't just hoard it. And so I know that you've got some great teachings on that as well. So thank you so much for coming on, and we'll make sure that the link to your free book offer is front and center in the show notes, and I appreciate you providing that for us.
Thank you so much, Mike.
You've been listening to Influential Entrepreneurs with Mike Saunders. To learn more about the resources mentioned on today's show or listen to past episodes, visit www.influentialentrepreneursradio.com.